Welcome to Deep Deck. Gonna have a creative conversation.
Hello, welcome to Tape Deck, a podcast where I, artist, writer Declan Shalvey, have a creative conversation, namely with a past or present collaborator in comics. My collab bro this weekend is Drew Moss. Drew Moss is an illustrator from southeastern Virginia that has been working in comics since 2011, with his first professional work for IDW's Gene Simmons' House of Horror. He has since worked for Image, Dark Horse, Oni Press, Heavy Metal, Dynamite, and many more. He's also done work in other fields such as video games, tabletop gaming, he said, TV, movies, toys, etc. And he's currently working on some book called Thundercats, and he says he's just happy to be here. Drew, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, Declan? How are you today?
Okay, I'm glad I really credit you for doing a tabletop.
I was a killer ping pong player in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Horrible at it.
You're pretty better than me anyway. But thanks for coming on, man. I was playing with the idea of immediately playing the Thundercats theme music straight away. I think people would just explode in so much excitement. Nobody could handle it.
I explode in excitement every time I hear it or sing it. So,
which is every day, right?
Every
Wake up in the morning,
day.
play it.
I should. No, I do hum it all the time. It's ridiculous.
It's a real brainworm, as they say. But how is it going on the book? I mean, I know because I work with you, but like the first issue is out. It's gotten crazy attention. But like you're in the art mines, just working away on the next one.
It's going. I'm lucky that, it's been kind of crazy, not just with deadlines that are kind of nuts, but just the attention. So, like dealing with the interviews, the signings, the cons, the deadlines, and everything, and just the plain kudos, maybe a little bit of hate here and there. But dealing with all of that has been a lot. I think I'll get used to it eventually. But I mean, the focus really is just like, telling a good story.
Sure.
It's that is probably the thing that stresses me out the most, because with all this distraction, like the end goal is always just to do your best work.
And have you found it that distracting? I mean, I know the interviews and stuff are a lot, but you've done a couple of signings now, and you've actually gotten that face to face from people. Has it freaked you out more at all, or is it encouraging, or a bit of both?
I feel like it's encouraging. Just to hear all the stories and people's experiences. I don't know about you, but me, I like Thundercats, but I didn't know that like so many others felt the same way. It has been just the kindness in general in person. Not that people aren't nice, but when they're like coming at you with this like personal experiences and all, it can be a lot. But I love it. I like speaking with people. It's cool seeing the kids too wearing Thundercats shirts, which I didn't think was going to happen, but seeing like teenagers,
kids.
Yeah, well, teenagers. I'm sorry if I call teenagers kids. My sons will not agree. But I was like, wow, you have a Thundercats shirt on. Weird. Like, where did you find that? It can be a little distracting. I try and keep my phone away from me, because I get pictures of the issue 1. When people buy it, they'll send me DMs just like, hey, look, I bought this, which is nice. Like I said, I'm not complaining about it, but if I constantly am looking at my phone, it becomes tough. But it's just constantly zzz, zzz, just
Sure, because I mean, look, we started on the book. I think had you started drawing pages by the time it was announced? I don't think you had.
no, no, no,
No, you
no.
hadn't. But it was. I mean, it was a good. It was cool news, but I don't think we had a sense of how much interest there was in the.
And yeah, like it was shocking to be honest. But like it's like getting hit by a bus, like you one day you're just drawing a comic book and the next day you're getting texts from everybody and people you haven't talked to in forever. It's like, oh my god, look at all the books you're selling. And I'm like, well,
Yeah,
wow.
I think I kind of remember when I was on Moon Knight with Warren, and it was a big news that Warren was doing that book. Not so much that I was, but by the time it came out, I was probably on issue 3, maybe, or maybe issue 4. And just, it was very distracting, like, because you could just had your head down on a book, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, once the book is out, everyone's reacting, and you're like, what? Oh, like, I want to enjoy this, but I'm also,
It,
I got to get this page done.
yeah, exactly. And that's probably why. I mean, you kind of keep the same hours I do. I know we're like 5 or 6 hours apart, but for some reason, every time I message you, you're awake. I don't know, like.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm going to bed and then I get a text from you and I end up staying up longer than I should. I'm like at that stage, I'm in bed, like
Okay.
about to go to sleep. But yeah, no, I should be going to bed earlier. It's tough though. Like, I mean, for myself, just because I find when it's later, it's quieter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can actually get work done during the day. It just seems like today, even today has just been emails and writing. I've been writing, but so much of the first part of the day was emails and promotion and all the stuff that kind of comes along with
Yeah.
having to do preparing for this, things like that. It all eats up time, but it has to be done at the same time because
Yeah.
freelance artists, and you got to push the stuff you're working on.
Yeah. Also, I was packing art to mail this morning. So that, like you said, it's all part of it. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're not paid. You will make money, but that's not actually like the job. The job is
yeah,
drawing pages, but you
yeah.
need to do this other stuff that takes time away from drawing pages. So it's a whole thing.
It's people don't. Well, a lot of people who don't do this work. They don't understand like what's involved. It's not like I wish it was just drawing, but there's just so many things. That's what art reps help, which I learned from you actually. They help with so much, just like with booking and taking care of people. But it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not. It's the time. The time is one thing, but I don't know if it's like this for you. I mean, I assume you're very good at this, but for me, it's just the shifting gears.
Yes.
You're drawing, and then if you have to stop to write an email, which I know isn't the hardest thing. Like, whoa, it's so hard. But it's not that it's hard. It's just that you do it, and then trying to get back into the rhythm where you were actually kind of hitting a good steam
Yeah,
with the
you get it
pages.
for
Yeah, like, how do you mean? You seem very prolific, man. Like, do you? Yeah, what's your what's the word I'm looking for? Not process, like your routine. Like, do you have a set thing that you do?
I do pretty much do the same thing every day. I wake up around 7:30 a.m. Get my youngest ready for school. Whatever small errands I can run, I do it after I drop my son off. Hopefully there aren't any. And I come straight home, and then I work till around 2 p.m. So that's, I usually have in my mind what I'm going to do that day already. Like I'm going over the list. I'm going to pencil these 3 pages. I'm going to ink these 3. I'm going to work on this small commission while I'm doing this thing, while I'm eating lunch. And then at 2, I stop and I go to pick up my son, and I sit in my car and I draw for an hour. Usually that hour is reserved for like, I don't know, commissions or working out like thumbnails for covers or pages. Sometimes I do ink pages in the car.
How?
Then I get,
Do you do that?
Yes. I inked half of issue 2 in the car.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So then I come home, make my son a snack every day, and then I work until about 5:30. I make dinner most nights. Then I hang out with my wife till around 9 p.m. But in between that, like I actually have a tablet that I'll work on pencil. Sometimes I'll work on inks. And sometimes I just sit with my wife for 3 or 4 hours. But then at 9:30, I
That's
call
nice.
it second shift. Um,
That's interesting because I do a second shift, yeah, after, which is really these days. Yeah, no, I kind of do a first shift between like 7, 6 p.m., 5, 6 p.m. and like 9 or 10, which is where I'll kind of get my first bout of drawing done.
yeah.
Because the first half of the day ends up just being like, you know, emails or like just typing stuff, and then I'll have my dinner, and then I'll do my second shift, which goes into the goes late.
Yeah. I do take naps during the day. So like at noon, if sometimes I'll just take a 45 minute, and I do this without an alarm. So it amazes my wife. Like it's 45 minutes every time.
Yeah, I'm different. I sleep and then I'm done. Like I'm
Yeah,
comatose
that's the way
until
she is.
yeah.
That's the way she is. I am a power napper. Like I take a nap at 8:30 p.m. Um,
Mhm.
maybe until 9:30, maybe 9:15 p.m. And then I just get back to work. I usually work till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
So
same.
solid 4.5 hours of sleep with naps, 2 or 3 small naps during the day. I don't feel sick or anything. Like I don't get. I can just tell when I need a nap. Like my
Yeah, fair
eyes get
enough.
heavy. It's like a weird pressure in my
You
face.
know, I'm the same when I know my like it's so late I have to go to sleep. I at least do listen to my body then, or I'm like, okay, go to bed.
Yeah,
I don't know how interesting it is for people to hear this, like the insight, but I was talking to I have like a student doing a work experience with me at the moment, and it's interesting explaining because she'll have very basic questions like how do you do this and how does this work, and I have to stop and think to myself, I don't know anymore because so much of it just comes from just force of habit,
yeah,
like
repetition.
it's like, how do you start drawing a page? I haven't thought about it in years. I just kind of do it because you've done so many, it just comes naturally, and you have to like you have to take 17 steps back and go, hang on a second,
Yeah. I speak at this local university uh, once or twice a year. A friend of mine's a professor there, and the question I do get asked a lot is, "What do you do with artist block?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is."
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not familiar with the concept.
yeah, like I have to work. What are you talking about? Like, there are times where I'm like, maybe cloudy, but like, no, I
Sure.
mean, pages got to get done. I'm not familiar with the concept anymore.
Yeah,
Uh,
or it's like, what do you do with yours? Like, I look at my calendar.
yeah,
that'll, that'll clear any block.
yeah, just
I know sometimes there's times where you just don't feel like a thing, or you're not kind of in the mood.
yeah,
Um, I find my problem is I need I need to be writing stuff, but I feel I can just start drawing like that.
yeah,
Writing, I have to really force myself to do, and there's always something that needs drawing. So it's very easy for me to go, well, I am getting work done. It's not the work that needs to be done now, but it is work that needs to be done. So I'm still justifying it to myself. But I think I've said, but I think I did get that question from the student, and I think I said like I just do whatever monkey work needs to be done, like ruling panel borders, or
yeah,
just writing panel one in a script, panel one, panel two, panel three, like
yeah,
a copy paste. Like something always needs doing. It might not be the most creative thing always, but there's always some kind of like monkey work, for lack of a better
yeah,
phrase, that just needs to be done. So if you're not feeling the muse at the time, there's always something else you can do till something
exactly.
kind of loosens up.
Or packing packages.
Yeah.
Sometimes I vacuum.
Yeah,
just
wash the dishes. Yeah,
yeah,
just like
wash the dishes. Just like
always the dishes need to be washed. So
yeah,
you know,
it's same in my house. It just always
Mm.
feels like something. Um, but yeah, it's like any other job. Whether you're feeling it, you still have to do it. I guess at the beginning, maybe it was like that. It's hard to remember. It was so long ago. Um, but now it's like yeah, feeling it is. I mean, I work when I'm sick. I work like when I'm tired. I work um, all the time. But like, it sounds horrible, but it's not. Like, there's worse
no,
things
no,
I could be
I've
doing.
had to justify to people before where it's like some people work a job that they really it really tough for them, and
Yeah,
then when they come home, their day is their own,
yeah,
and they never have to think about work and they can enjoy their lives. I feel like we're on the other side where like we actually get to do what we love. The downside is it just kind of eats up more of your day. So
yeah.
there's pluses and minuses to every job. Someone's hopped in to ask a question asking Declan, did you kill Snarf? Um, well, Z42, the question is, did we kill Snarf? Because we
Oh,
both work on Thundercats, and I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. Who's that?
I have never. Have you heard of Snarf? I've never heard of
It's a
Snarf. Who's that?
nonsensical word.
Yeah, I think that's just a made-up word. I'm not. I'm not. I don't. I'm not familiar with such concepts. But if anyone is, sorry, if anyone, I know people are watching, but if you have any questions, feel free to hop them in, and I'll sprinkle them in over the conversation. But yeah, getting out of the kind of like oh, woe is us artists talk. I wanted to talk about your work because you've been around for as long as I have. When did you start working professionally?
Um, I think the first thing I did was in 2004. I did a book called. Oh no, maybe the Gene Simmons was 2004. And then I did a book called Sidekick and Hero with a friend of mine, Courtney Huddleston. Um, yeah, but I want to say, uh, like there, everything was so spotty at the beginning. You get anthology
Sure.
story, and then you may not get anything for 6 or 7 months, maybe a year. So it's all like kind of a blur at the beginning. But
Yeah,
I
I
was,
was looking through an old blog I did when I was starting out,
yeah,
and I'd go to conventions and I'd do little reports about them. And I was looking through the old. It's still online. But I was like, oh, I forgot about that little thing I did, like that job that had no money. I just did it to draw pages.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, I remember that one. Oh, I had that one too. Bloody hell. Like, I forgot so many short things I did to just kind of break in,
yeah,
which weren't
for
really
the
breaking in, but
exposure, right? Uh,
yeah, for sure.
um,
But I first discovered your stuff when I was asked to do a variant cover for your book called Copperhead with Jay
ah,
Faber.
yeah,
What year was that?
I want to say, man, I don't know. It might have been like 6 or 7 years ago. No, 5 years
Yeah, no,
ago.
it has to be.
5 years ago. 4. I don't remember really. It was one
Mm,
of my like I lose
no, it's
concept of
more. It's more, man, because Jordi Belair colored it, and we haven't worked together. Let's say 4 years, so it must have
time.
been. I'd say 7.
Okay, so yeah, it was a long time ago. Well, it was my first foray into science fiction. Um,
Okay.
I didn't think I would like it per se, but Jay asked me, and I couldn't pass it. I'd only done like small stories for Image, uh, and I didn't know what Copperhead was, and and I remember telling Jay that when he asked me, I was like, "I'll do it, but I don't know what Copperhead is," and he goes, "Well, let's be fair. I don't know what you're working on either." It's like, okay, but I didn't think I'd like it, but I loved it. Like, like that's why even Thundercats, with its fiction, like science fiction roots, feels good because I mean, if you want to draw a spaceship, you can just draw a spaceship.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 100% real. I mean, as long as there's not holes in it everywhere.
Mhm.
But like just being able to play with creatures. I mean, um, it is like the ultimate creative outlet. So yes, I
Well, thinking about it now, like I mean, it does have a lot of kind of Thundercatsy stuff in it, doesn't it? Like the ship and the kind of barren landscape, and
yes,
you had those like the main character was kind of a dog
yeah,
creature.
yeah, yeah. I think it had a lot of anthropomorphic creatures. I asked Scott, "What is it?" He's just like, "I don't know." I forget what he said. A mix between two animals. He thinks. I mean, it was really. He was just like, "It's whatever it is," you know. Um,
Fair enough.
but
But
I
we're just a
enjoyed it.
Copperhead fan here. Gary loved Copperhead. That was like 12 issues, I think it was.
Yeah, I did. I did have. There was 20 or 19 issues that or 20. I did half of it. Scott did half of it, and I did half of it. And
Gotcha.
then
Okay, fair enough.
the plan was like us to rotate little 4 issue story arcs, but it was canceled. I think Scott did one more issue in it, and then it wasn't canceled. I think Jay and Scott decided it was done.
Okay, fair
Um,
enough.
yeah, so I remember working on my arc while Scott was working on that, and I got the phone call. Like I had done a whole issue. I think it was like 24, and Jay Scott was working on like 20. Um, and they were just like, "Hey, we talked about it. We're gonna, it happens. It happens." So there's no
Sure,
ill
yeah.
will or anything. It was, I mean, it was crushing because I did love drawing that book. Um,
Yeah, it was tough with any creator and stuff like just the finances of it. Like, you want to do it, but how much is it selling? How much are you making? How much can you pay people? How long can you
yeah,
go until it's like, yeah, it's tough.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
tough.
we had a
Okay,
good
but
run.
so what did you do after that?
Uh, it's really hard to think. I did it's a lot of small things, but I think the next big thing was Vampirilla Red Sonja, and that was with
Hmm.
Jordy. I did 12 issues, and that was wonderful, actually.
Was that 12? I
Yeah,
didn't realize what. Oh wow, okay.
yeah, I'm the 10, 12, 8 issue guy.
That's not bad, man. Most things are like 5 or 6 issues, so to do a book that goes like 12 is pretty great.
Oh, it was fun. It was, and I think the only reason it stopped, I think Jordy was, she said she was done. Like, as in,
Okay.
the story had ran its course. And it did loop. It was a circular thing. Like the ending is
Mhm.
the beginning is the ending. So it was nice. She was great to work with. Everybody was great to work with on that book. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of
I think that
ladies.
was the
I did
first thing of
it.
yours I saw after a while. I remember looking through. I can't remember. It was previews to something and seeing your pages on that. I thought it looked great. Like I was
Thank
like,
you.
oh man, I think I hadn't seen your stuff in a while, and then that's where I saw it again. I was like, man, this stuff is great.
Oh
Yeah, it
man,
was really,
that
really
was
good
actually
stuff.
the first time I worked with Nate. Um,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, it was.
Nate
Well,
Cosby, who is the editor on Thundercats, just for
yes,
people who don't know.
Nate Cosby. But yeah, and I was always wondering why I was on that book because, like I said, it was like you know, I felt like it was very female centric, like with everybody working on it. Then they picked me to draw it. I was like, you could have got a lady in here to draw it, and it like it would. I don't know why, but we all got along really well, and it was probably one of my best experiences, to be honest. Um,
So was that your first Dynamite project then?
yes. Yeah. Well, I asked Nate if he had any covers because you know what he does. He goes on Twitter. He does this general call for everybody.
And everyone loves it. Everyone loves that he does it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how many people get response. No, we all know Nate and his emails. I love you, dude, but come on, man.
Look, I know a lot of like freelancers hate that Nate does that, goes online looking for people, and doesn't kind of like maybe get onto people he already knows. But I know he does do that because he gets onto like people like you or me. But I also know that like it's actually nice to know there's an editor who's actually
Yes.
can just
Yeah.
give you work just from being online. I know it's like a bit of a crap to shoot. You don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know any other editors that just go online looking for people, you know, who gets those opportunities.
Everybody who asks me about it, I say, we watch for Nate to do that. Like, you have a fair shot. Like, try.
It's your best chance. You can email him and he might never get back to you, but if he happens to be looking at that time,
yeah, you can luck out. And that's how it happened to me. I just said, hey, do you have any covers?
Oh, yeah, is that how it happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I emailed him and I was like, do you have any covers or anything? Because that's what he was asking for. And he goes, do you have work? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, I can give you something. Like, I can actually give you something. And he said, do you want to do a Vampirilla Red Sonja? It's 12 issues long. If you could just do like a couple samples for me. And you know me, if I get excited. So I had those samples, like later that day.
You drew them before you read the email. As you're reading the email, Vampirilla, huh?
Oh, boom, she's done. So yeah, I did that, and Jordy liked the artwork, and and ever since I've been with Nate for the past 5 or 6 years, I think it is.
Yeah, Nate's got a really good eye. He's the one who found Justin Mason when we were doing Dynamite together. He's amazing. Like, I don't know where I imagine again his Twitter, like, you know, just happens to look and the right person replied at the right time, you know.
Yeah, he's amazing. I really enjoy his work. I actually,
he's great. He's fine. That's not
That's not his ego, man.
Yeah, but so did you was Nate keeping you going the whole time then? Because I know I can't remember what you did after.
No, I didn't do comics. I want to say for like 2 years because the pandemic hit.
Sure.
Everything kind of stopped, but luckily, my Instagram following is pretty big, so I had a bunch of people hit me up. For commercial work, licensing work, like stuff for like Netflix and Paramount and toys.
Cool.
Yeah, so I did toys and licensing work for like 2 years, which was a lot of fun. I got to design, a Bakugan, which is my kids used to love those toys, but they got a trip that I got to do that. I did some stuff for video games as well. It was this place called Keyword Studio. They're like owned by Microsoft, so they get jobs. It's like contracting, and then they just assemble teams, and you do what you do. It was a lot of fun, but I don't know. I got the itch again, and Nate contacted me. It was, hey, do you want to do something again? Jeff Parker wants to do a book, and I did Blighter with him.
Yes. Sorry,
I have it.
I do, yeah. There you go.
Yes, I did Blighter, and then Off the Gargoyles.
Yeah, so this was Kickstarted, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes. It was super fun because Jeff's a great artist in his own right, and he taught me a lot. And I don't know, it was he's probably my second favorite writer I've worked with. You are my first, man. I can't. We have
put Jeff above me, man. No, I'm the same. Like, I had a great experience working with Jeff on Thunderbolts. It was my first big gig,
yeah.
And he was really good to just kind of he was very practical about here's something where you can show off, and here's something that'll save you some room. And I feel like that was really good training for me writing wise, and especially working with artists. I think working with you, I really pull on my experience with Jeff a lot. But you can see how I'm glossing over the compliment you were about to give me there. What was it? Sorry, we got another comment here. Gary's asking, there's a bit of the sword and sorcery meeting sci-fi in Vampirella / Red Sonja, like in Thundercats. Do you find yourself looking back at that creatively?
Yes, because I also did a bunch of Red Sonja stuff. I did it. I just glossed over that because it was 4 issues here, 2 here, and like I don't know. I like the sword and sorcery, the fantasy stuff, but the sci-fantasy stuff, like mixing the science fiction with it, I love it. Like it's and I do find myself thinking back on that stuff. It is it is it's I always thought I was a superhero guy, you know. But I really enjoy drawing this type of thing. It's
I think like but Thundercats is a little superhero-y. Like it's like I'd say like 20% superhero. You know, the cartoon was like certainly some fantasy stuff too, a lot of sci-fi. Like it's got like, I mean, it's got to be a fun book to draw.
It is. I have not run into a page I haven't enjoyed doing, which is very, very odd. We do have those books where you're like, oh, I gotta draw this, and you just like just dredge through it until you get it done, and then you count it a victory just because you finished it. But no, Thundercats. I'm up at 3 a.m. and I'm tired because my body's tired. I'm not tired because I didn't enjoy what I was doing. You know.
To get on more onto Thundercats, so like was Nate got onto you. Well, I know this. I'm asking you the questions if I don't know what happened. But Nate had gotten onto me. I'd had to pitch them something, so I was very not worried, but like I knew the art was really going to be the thing that kind of clinched the book. I knew it had to be good. Sometimes on licensed books, they'll just throw anybody on it and it looks like crap. And you're like, really didn't want that to be the case. You know, I wanted this to be good. I know Nate did too, like, but then he mentioned you and it clicked for me. I'm like, oh yeah, they've worked together. So he knows he's reliable and, you know, I know he's good, you know, but then do they have any interest in Thundercats? So yeah, so Nate emailed you out of the blue?
Yeah, it was, I was actually working on Dark Ages, Gargoyle's Dark Ages. I was finishing up the last issue. I had no idea what I was going to do after, but I knew Nate would find something. He just, one Friday night, I got an email, and it was just like a question. Usually it's like if it's a new project, he tells me who's a part of it, like what the timeline is, all that business stuff, you know?
Sure.
But it was literally an email that said, hey, dude, have you drawn Thundercats before? That's it. And I was like, what does that mean? And I lied, I guess, because I said I did. I swear I have. But apparently I can't find anything that I've ever done with Thundercats.
But then later that day, boom.
I did that
that day, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like he emailed me at like 8
Nate sent that. I'm like, damn, that's great. Like, that's perfect. It's the right amount of like realism and the right amount of cartooning, and like it looks like the thing I knew, but looks different at the same time. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, it came out okay. Like I said, that might have been like he emailed me around 8, and then like at 9, I was like, here you go, buddy. And then he didn't reply, as Nate would do. So I didn't know.
Well, that's because he would have sent it to me and then was probably waiting for me to see it and reply, you know.
And that's what
we're all dancing around each other.
And then I did the Panthro, like, I want to say 20 minutes later. That one.
Yep.
And again, the face is a little weird on that. I'm glad I've gotten better at him. Yeah, and then the next day I did the Mumra and the Tigra.
Let's see here. Where's the... So I don't want to show the Mumra because you have Jaga in there, and there's
do I?
Yeah, but there's a... I don't want to give away... No, it'd be fine. There's going to be preview pages. There's a scene in the beginning where we see Jaga with the skull... It's like a dream sequence. It'll be in the previews. It's fine. Yeah. But where was it? You had Tigra.
And then the Mumra. That was when we were working on the designs.
That's right. Yeah.
And Nate was like, this is too much. we want like, I mean, if he had told me like I wanted like a turnaround, I would have done that. Yeah, he was just like, draw them. Yeah, this Mumra, but it wasn't colored and stuff. I think it was just ink. There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Because I put all that gray marker stuff in the background of the other ones. I just wanted to do like an illustration, to show.
But like you just you started handing these in straight away, and I was like, I'm not saying like everybody should just do that if they're looking for a job, but like it definitely shows the person that is interested in the gig,
Oh yeah,
which was great for us, like to go, no, he really would like to do this, which is what you want. You want someone who's going to enjoy the job. I'm trying to find. Bring back the Mumra there.
Yeah, the Mumra. He's not too different from the cartoon. He's a little, I will say, at points simplified. I didn't like the cartoon that the cape is attached to his wrists. It just takes away from some visual moments if he crosses his body. Like it's different when it's a cartoon. It's like a second. But with comics, like if it's attached to his wrist, whenever he crosses his arm, like we got to be really creative.
I mean, we haven't even gotten to draw that version of him yet. Like it was more, I mean, that the original, the kind of hooded version of him. I mean, there's nothing to change. It's perfect.
It is perfect. You really, and the color, his skin color. I remember you were a stickler on that. Like get it right.
I just wanted to tweak it a bit, because we were still finding our feet, because I know. Let me see. I'll try find. Do we have through the designs? Yeah. Well, actually, first we have a question here. The Calica design you're showing is a different color clothing than the preview we've seen in her red outfit. Is this a new version, the one we'll see in issue 2? No, it's the other way around, actually.
Yes. Because that was it. I didn't have. You asked for some drawings, and unfortunately, I didn't have a JPEG of the red one. I thought I included it, but then I realized I didn't, because I was a little late getting that to you. But that was the original colorway, which changed to the red, which I like. At first, I'll admit I didn't like it. I said she looked like a fireman, remember?
Yeah.
But then it's grown on me. I like it. I think it makes her stand out amongst them.
It was a note by Nate, I think. And I think he was right.
I did too.
I think because Wiley Kit has some purple in her costume. I think maybe, to be fair to Nate, he was thinking of them as a team and how they'll look together.
Yeah.
I think the red's quite nice.
It's very royal, actually. I had a hard time with that other stuff, but he is an amazing editor. Like, he does have very good insight into, I mean, all the time. I've worked with him for 6 years, and I wouldn't still be working with him if I didn't think he was awesome.
Z is also asking, is Calica going to be permanent, or is she a one-off character of the week? I'm going to dance around this a little bit, only because Calica's kind of been used a lot in promotional stuff, and I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, the character wasn't made for promotion; the character was made for story reasons. So, my issue with her, I kind of wish nobody knew about her until the book came out, but I understand why, because the sales are so high now.
Yeah.
But Calica, I don't want to answer the question, because the point of Calica is that you don't know what's going to happen with her. Yeah. Unlike all the other characters, we know who they are. Calica, you don't. So I will say she's not just a cheap one-off character that's in one issue. We'll put it that way. But I don't really want to say any more about her, because the whole point is we don't know where we stand with her. But I mean, I love writing her, and I know you love drawing her. So
I do.
We'll put it that way. We'll, as regards intentions with her.
And she aesthetically flows well. Like, she's very easy to draw. I don't know what it is about her. Like, every time I draw her, it's like maybe. I think we spoke about this on the last pod we did, but it's like since I designed them, it's like second nature. It's like writing a song. It doesn't. 20 years down the line, I'll still be able to draw these guys from memory. because I designed them, and I really appreciate that. I'm not going to say you let me, because that sounds like you're like, we'll let him do it.
I allowed you. No.
But letting me design these characters has really made them so much fun to draw. Like a lot of times, well, most times, you're dealing with established designs, and you can, like, even in Copperhead, like, I'm the one who took them out of uniform because they were always in uniform, and I gave her just a leather jacket. And Jay was like, "Well, cool. Well, we're gonna do something with that. Like, maybe she gets fired or something." But like, I think even in this comic, Lionel is wearing I call it his sleep gear, where it's just like a black.
Yeah, actually, because I remember seeing the page. We'll see in the preview pages that Lionel just kind of has like I don't know what you call it, like a leisure shirt or something, just like something that isn't his actual armor.
Yeah,
and it's black, just a black shirt, and I'm like, that looks really nice. Like, it just it makes him just seem more casual without it being anything too elaborate. And but in general, though, man, like, I mean, I know from experience, when you get to do some design stuff on a book, it makes it more yours, which is what really, it feels a lot more satisfying to kind of be injecting more into it and making it more your book rather than, like you say, drawing a character that was designed 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, and being able to update, I hate doing air quotes, so I'm doing it, update the characters, characters that I liked as a child, is pretty cool. Like, I don't know, it's who would have thought? Like, I drew these characters when I was 10, in some notebook or on a book, literally on my school books, drawing these people. And I remember doing little things that weren't exactly the design, but probably because I didn't quite remember everything, being 10. But being able to do, like, ninja pants, and you're right. You were like, pants. Let's go pants.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the first episode they're naked and then they're wearing their armor, and I'm like, they still kind of look naked.
Yeah, they're just wearing underwear.
Also, I knew I was trying to signal more of a sci-fi thing, less fantasy.
Yeah,
and I think, like, trousers feels like a little Star Warsy rather than, like, bare legs feels very like Frazetta.
Yeah,
which is cool. It's just not really what I was going for. I actually do remember. I'm just remembering one other thing I had to you was that I felt was I remember it said, like, the belts need to be big.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember saying that, because I just remember thinking, like, we have to see that logo. That logo has to be,
and they are
as
big.
Clear. And I think, did you have a smaller one? I can't remember why I would make that note, because I think.
I did. A smaller one first. I think originally the first Panthro had a small belt. Yeah, you did say you were like, yeah, we really need to push that logo. We need to bulk that belt up. Because I think I did it like belt buckle size.
Yeah. Whereas the original costume, it is really big on his. Like, I just like that big belt with the big logo. I just feel
it's like the
the whole design hinges on that.
Champion.
Yeah. But I'm just showing here the like, you've got a sketch of Monkey in here who, like, you're just drawing random characters at first, and you have this drawing of, this was your kind of first thinking for Chitara, and I think we have one of Lion-O as well. Sorry, I'm just flicking through
the
these.
The Lion-O one, he has like literal armor, I think, on.
That's it. Yeah. So we have a Panthro and a Slide, Mumra, and a Tigra as well.
Yes.
But so I mean, I have to say, I did quite like this design, but I remember Nate just felt it was a little too much, which I think is fair. Like, I really like it, but actually this would be more work for you to draw as well.
Yeah, it's very armory. Like, everybody seemed, I seem to be pushing the whole. In my head, it was just sci-fi.
Yeah.
like I wasn't thinking about the aesthetics of the original. Uh, and I think what was the one note? It's 2011.
I think that was it. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that show, but I've seen all the costume designs, which actually, to be honest, I think they're class. I think they're
Yeah,
really
yeah,
really cool. But I mean, my thinking originally, because I hadn't seen that show, was to kind of base it on the very original. So when I saw these, I'm like, well, this kind of signals. I think people would have thought this was going to be based on the newer cartoon,
yeah.
which would have been confusing too, because that's not really where I was going with it. But I like what you did. I like how you have that kind of armor that matches his original aesthetic, but it's not
Yeah.
showing his abs. It's just showing plating. Like, I think it's a really cool design.
I tried to match it, like you said. You catch everything. Like you caught the whole the Chitara Calica connection,
Yeah,
which I thought
when
I
I was coming.
stuck that in.
Yeah, no. I knew. Well, it's hard for you to sneak something in when I already had it in my mind. It was we were on another podcast, and I said like when I saw that when I thought of Calica, I was thinking that might be a good place for Drew to use that that kind of design, because changing Chitara that much might have been too far, but a new character is different. But I mean, I didn't even say it to you. I saw that you did it. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, I was thinking it because yeah, it's being that Chitara is like one of the most popular Thundercats. I get like
Yeah.
you can only take her so far. And I mean, I'm like I said, I'm counting my blessings with Tigra. So
Well, we can see you tried the mustache here, and I thought I can't remember. I was thinking, I think we just liked the mustache. I remember me and Nate both saying, "Oh, that's class."
well that and I kind of got it. Like you can thank Jeff Parker because
Oh yeah,
Blighter has a similar thing,
yeah.
except he's got
He's got that.
yeah,
More,
but his curls. This is more like a handlebar thing. Like I don't know what it's called, but like Lemmy from Motorhead.
yeah.
So it's close, but I was because that character is also a tiger. And I think originally when I did the Blighter designs, I tried to push this too, and Jeff was like, "Well,
Okay.
now I kind of want more of the curl with the more swashbuckling."
Yeah.
But I got to put it somewhere.
So we can thank Jeff, or for those who don't like it, you can blame Jeff Parker, and Jeff's
Yes.
going to wonder why he's getting hate mail all the time now.
It's not because of that. No.
And then so then we actually have the designs here, the final designs. I think it works well on Panthero and Lion-O, those big belts, and what you do with Tigra.
Totally.
I think we were saying the other day, the Wily
Cyclops-
Cat and Wily Kid are probably the most different.
Yes. I hated Wily Kit's design. Even as a child, I didn't like it.
Is it the hair?
Yeah, I think it was the hair, and she had that like weird flowy dress. I just didn't like it. I think Kid is, he's different. I don't know. Her is the one, and I like drawing her a lot. I really do. God, Tiger is the Cyclops. I kept thinking 1990s Cyclops.
Okay.
With the
Why the ninja pants?
why the ninja. I feel I wanted to hit that since we already did it with Panthro. Like I still wanted them to kind of have a uniform, I guess. And Wily Kids and Cat have similar pants.
It's true, yeah. Like there's an aesthetic across all of them, which I think is good.
Yeah. I wanted them because it's like the X-Men. I think I read it or watched a thing back in the 90s when I was a kid where it might have been Jim Lee explaining like how teams work, and although the costumes are different, they still have to like look right as a team. They can only be like so different. So I tried to do that. Like they can be themselves, but also still hit that sweet spot where when they're together, you go, "Oh yeah, I see that they're together." Like I can see.
And so then with Calica, you had the advantage of sorry, I'm trying to quickly get back to Calico. You could go further with it, but like, what's the balance there between her being different but also within the same design aesthetic?
I think like originally like with the khaki pants, I put the bandages on just like Panthro and Tigra. The metal clasps on her arm, the ringlet, I guess. It kind of harkens to Panthro and Chitara, because Chitara has that thing with the bow staff on her forearm.
Yeah.
Originally, I put it on her bicep. If you look at the design, so I pulled that again. The lining around the hood to kind of go with the kits and cats, and a lot of them have the lining around their lower half. And I think in the new design does have it. The trim on her under her belt. I don't know what they call that flap.
That's right. Yeah, the tunic-y thing.
The tunic-y thing. Yeah, it's got the trim on it. And the only thing that sets it apart, which I love that you caught when you did your cover, which I love, your Calico cover, is that her sides are open.
Yeah.
And it's attached by like little, I guess, pieces of string. But I mainly did that because I wanted to show her markings.
That's what I liked about drawing it, was that, like, when I was drawing, I was like, I want to draw the markings, especially like the black parts, because I got to kind of like draw that in a feathered way, so it felt like it was fur. So no, I did like that there was so much, well, I drew with her hood up, so it was a little bit different, but getting to like draw it on her arms and the sides was great. Like, I can see how that's fun to draw.
It is very fun to draw. It's probably one of the best parts, especially when you get to her face. With the black marks on her face, the negative eyebrow. God, I'm so glad you chose Calico. I mean, Spots would have been okay.
It's because my cat is a Calico cat, so this is actually, she's inspired by my own cat, which is fairly indulgent on my part. But like, I do think visually, well, that's the thing as well. Panthro is like Tigra is Tiger. You needed a different visual, like they're all types of felines. So, I was just Googling, like, hang on a second, I have a Calico cat. I know what that is.
Yeah.
And she would stand out from the rest.
Well, you opened a whole new world up. Like, it's not just predatory big cats. Now you can have a tabby. Like,
well, I think also she's not one of the royal, like, I mean, they're all royalty technically.
That's
I think
a good point.
There's a level of class there that could be explored in future.
Yes.
Because that's it as all as well. Like, the exciting thing about the book is you can seed stuff to play down the line. I don't know exactly where things are going to go, but there's so much more possibilities now. There's she's not just a new character, but she's like not part of the royal guard, if you will.
Yeah.
But no, we should actually take a look at actually making the book. So this was my draft. I think some of the dialogue changed by the time we went to print it. Like, Nate kind of makes some notes in the lettering draft and changes some things, but in general, I mean, this is what you would have seen anyway. There was some changes in lettering, but this is the script you got. How'd you find this script? I don't know what you're used to getting.
No, that's actually perfect. One of the biggest things, it sounds silly, but you put the panel numbers like the next to the page at the top. You don't know how much I love that. Not every writer does that. And you also do the page breaks at the right place. They're not continuous. It's like you put the page breaks, like page 1, even if it was a panel 6, you would break the page so panel 2 starts a new page. So when I print it out, it's separated. Each page is separated. I love that. I mean, I know I love the script in general, reading it. But these little, like, and you being an artist has a lot to do with it, I think. Because, I mean, it cuts a lot of my, like, because then I have to go through it. Oh, this one's 6 panels, this one's 7. And I usually work the panels out on the script themselves, on the paper. I have one here. Yeah, I do. Oh no, I didn't do it on the. I don't have them, but I usually work it in within the empty space. I'll put
Yeah, sure.
but I won't do the thumbs, just the panel layouts.
Okay.
And then I go and digitally do the thumbs just because it's easier for me to be like, well, let's shrink well, especially issue 3, let's shrink this image, let's grow this one. It just makes it easier. But for some reason, I always do the panel layout physically with pencil. And it kind of gives me a friend of mine who went to art school. He's like, half of it's just committing to your decisions. Like when in a speed
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
if you do the panels and in your head you're like, okay, like they don't have to be exactly in your head, but you know that now you've committed to this space. And then you can just move on from there. And if you need to make something smaller or bigger, you can. I mean, there's rare occasions where things change, but it's that commitment to your original thought process. So,
And do you think working digitally kind of works against that sometimes because you can change your mind?
yeah, it can. That's why I only do the pencils now, because you convinced me. You convinced me to go traditional on this book, which is right. It was the right decision.
But look, my bias is I just prefer stuff on paper. I just think there's an intrinsic quality to a line on a page rather than digital. It's just a personal preference. That's not to say I'd hate it if you did it digitally. I just I think the pages are better. I think the pages you're doing on paper are better than the ones I saw digitally. Just personally,
no, they are. They are. I agree.
It also opened up like you doing washes, which I think are so much more. They feel better than say if you did like a digital effect, which I'm sure you could. Like I'm sure you'd be able to do it really well as well. But it's just not the same for me.
It isn't. It misses the randomness, the happy accidents. But no, you're right. Like, because I mean, to be honest, like digital looks great. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who do it really well, but to do it traditionally, for me personally, I can manipulate the line weights easier.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I can play with the line. Like sometimes with the digital, you got to do the line 6-7 times before you get it right. I keep going Control Z. Oh no, back and back, and then. But with this, it's like I just take my time. If it's too thin, I make it thicker. I get it the way I want it. And I have acrylic paint to do corrections, which is what I use.
Sure.
So it's been great. I feel like I'm doing my best work. And I also feel like I enjoy drawing.
I think you are too, man. I think. I mean, again, we know the book's like a big hit and everything, but beforehand, just for me, I'm like, I think this is a good opportunity for you to like have a real showcase for your work. You've been doing the Gargoyles book, but like that was a spin-off, which is great. And I know that was big exposure for you, but to like take a franchise and like do all the design work and doing it from its own an origin book. Like I just felt like this is a really good opportunity for you to really like turn some heads, and you have absolutely stepped up to the plate. Like, and it's easy for you for me to say it to you. It's a much harder thing for someone to actually do. And you really have, man. I just love what you're doing on the book.
I appreciate that. So you said it before when we first started talking. I remember you were like, "This is gonna make you." Like a name, like you're gonna do great work on this. I hadn't even done anything yet, but those sketches, and you were like, "Dude, this is gonna be your thing." Like I swear to you, like you're gonna do great, which is so encouraging.
I didn't swear to you now. I didn't because I couldn't. I couldn't know for sure.
No, you didn't swear, but you said it. You said it, which put it in my mind. That vote of confidence is man, I never get that from it's like usually writers not writers. I hate to be generalize people, but usually when I work with certain people, um, it's more like here's the script, here are the changes I want. Like
Yeah, I know what it's like to work with Jeff Parker. It's fine.
I love Jeff. He's the best. But
I
yeah,
know, I get it because I get it too. It's it's busy. I could. It's easy to complain about writers when you haven't done it. When you have written, and you can like. I would say my the tough thing for me is just staying on top of everything. Like I gave you notes on some layouts there the other day, but I was in the middle of three other things. I'm like, Drew needs to get drawing. If I'm going to give him notes, I need to do them now. So I had to put other stuff aside. So it's just there's so much other stuff.
yeah,
But I also remember what it's like to work with writers and like, not because anyone's been a dick or anything, they're just busy. So you'll just get great.
yeah,
And you're like, I sent 10 pages.
yeah. I know.
And then,
You said
great. Like,
or neat, or
yeah, we just,
cool.
it's nice to hear, but it's like after 2 weeks of work or something, just give me something more. I
Yeah,
need a little bit more. So I always try to make sure, like, it's just like it's like the artist, a little baby bird, and you just need to give them a little bit of food, and they'll be fine.
yeah. Well, my wife says it. She goes, "It's just because you're a man and you need encouragement at all times." I was like, "Yes, you're right."
Probably
I
to that
clean
as
the
well. Yeah.
toilet. I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to her, and she'll be like, "You did a good job." I'm like, "I know I did. I know I did."
I just needed you to hear you say it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's a true story, by the way.
I'm glad you like the scripts. Like I've said it on another tape deck episode was that I can't remember what writer I saw do it, but by putting the panels on the top of the page, it paced my brain
Yes.
so that if I just saw the first three panels right on a page, I think, oh, it's a 3-panel page, and then I'll think bigger, like big scenes or big action, and then you turn the page and you see there's another 4. You're like, son of a, and then you're trying to like squeeze it all in because your brain already went big. But if you know what the panel count is, I feel like it can pace you. So you're like, okay, well, this is a 7-panel page, so this establishing shot isn't going to be half the page; it's going to be a panel, and it's just that. It's just because I felt it was good to stop you from. It stopped me from tripping over myself. I would add them in on the scripts, but I have found anybody who I've worked with has said it's pretty helpful because I think you're thinking visually and you can't help yourself sometimes. So it's good to kind of like pace you.
Yes, and it does help. I love that. It's like even when writers don't do it, I'll add it myself.
Right.
Because it is I won't even read anything. That's the first thing I'll do is
exactly what I do as well. Or when the last time I worked with somebody, same thing. I'll just go, don't read it, just look how many panels to put it in there, just so you're not putting stuff in your brain. Can I ask you, actually, sometimes I put in like large panel. Does that bother you? Because like sometimes I'm worried I'm directing it to, I mean, I generally don't, but sometimes it might be that I'll say like a wide panel, or because that's what's in my head and it's what I'm thinking. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's fair to just put that in Drew's head. Maybe I should just leave it out.
No, it's great because I mean, the pace we're working at is very accelerated. Probably the most accelerated I've ever worked at. There's one time at IDW, I did do a book in like 7 days. It was awful. It was awful. It looked so bad, but I was a fill-in. They were just like, this guy is not doing it. Could you help us out? And I did. It was awful, but not against them or the person I replaced for that one issue. But I took the job. I shouldn't have, but I did. But
we've all done it. I've done the same thing too. Just the problem is to stop taking those jobs. Like you can do it once, and if you don't learn your lesson, then really you're the problem, not the person giving you those gigs.
But no, I like it. I like that you do that because sometimes I don't have, like, it just saves me the trouble. I know now that this panel's important. I know pacing wise how the layout, like how the beats are going to hit if that's the large panel. Like your pacing is great. Like not everybody paces as well as you do. Like sometimes I have to ask if I can add panels or take them out because like I'm like, well, this is the beats aren't hitting right, so can I take this out and then or can I make this? Can I cut this into two because
Yeah.
like there are too many actions in this panel.
Yeah.
But you, I don't. I think you being the artist you are, you already see that.
Yeah, I think I do have a fairly good sense of what fits on a page. Sometimes you got to compress things, and like you can get two actions in one panel.
Yeah,
You can, or two things can happen at the same time. Sometimes, I'll have written it where it's all one panel. You realize actually this needs to kind of be condensed, so you can do it.
yes, you can.
It's just a matter of knowing where it can fit. Sometimes,
And as long as the dialogue is, the first person who speaks, he generally is the first person you see. So as long as those actions match with the dialogue, then you're good. But sometimes,
there's a scene in the second issue I had to kind of rewrite it a little bit, but that's because there was a lot of characters in one scene, and just sometimes you just need to tweak it a little bit. That can happen, but like it's because there's two different people doing two different jobs, and you want to. Yeah, I mean, you're going to hit stumbling blocks sometimes, but the problem is when you keep, like I have done jobs where you just keep having those problems, and it's because I think the writer isn't thinking ahead, and like the artist isn't getting what the writer's putting down. And if those two things are happening, then you got a problem. But I think you and me have a good kind of shorthand.
Yeah, already, which is surprising to me. Usually, like I said, I generally have done a lot of, well, not a lot, but I've done a few where it's been, I've done 8 or 12 issues. And by the 12th or 10th issue is when I start, like, everything seems to be, like, just rolling. I feel like by the middle of the first issue, we were pretty, like, if I ever had a question, I'm like, Declan, did you mean this? And you're like, yeah. And I'm, okay, boom. It was like
I'm trying to think. Was there any big? I think maybe there was one. You had one question. Maybe. I don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to think of something where we had like cross wires.
I think there was one thing where I wasn't confused on what to draw, but like I was confused on. I don't remember. I know there was one thing, and because I had to ask you, I was like, "What was it?" There they are.
I just topped up the layouts for the first issue. I can't zoom in on these, unfortunately.
Oh man, look at them. They look so neat all together like that. It's pretty interesting because you can kind of see all the way the pages flow since they're so small. It's.
Well, I work very similarly. I don't do it digitally, but I do I'll have everything out on the page, so you can just see the whole sense of the book. Did you always do it this way, or did it take you a while to kind of work that process out?
I've done it like this for a while. I have a bunch of books, because I never throw my thumbs out. So I have a bunch of these, but I've never looked at them all together like this. I mean, of course, the 10 pages at a time, but to see 20 all together, it's pretty interesting because, man, you're right. You can really see, like, the flow of the pages, like how they sweep across. Neat. That's neat.
There's page 1, page 2 is a spread, with 2. I think actually that was one thing that was it. You wanted to add a panel to the bottom of page 1, wasn't that it?
I did.
Yeah.
Because I thought
it works
be,
great.
Yeah, it's like because they were looking out, but we also wanted to see them all. But we also wanted to see the environment, and I was like, I can do this. And I remember I drew it the other way, and we were like, "Oh, this looks weird."
That's right. Yeah. I know it works great because you basically get your epic team shot and your landscape shot. But even looking at those, looking at all these pages together, there's a few panels. Panel 1, you've got your big spread. Panel 2 and 3, and then it's like panels until we get to the. Thunder. That's 3 panels.
Yep.
And then the whole page it's not a spread, but it's nearly a spread.
Close.
So
It's close.
you get through a chunk of pages, and then you get that kind of like release, that visual release.
And plus, the page after that is the Mumrot's mostly black.
That's right. Yeah.
So it pauses that energy, and then we go right back into it with the fighting. Like that's great. Just like the mutant ship. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Page 5. It's kind of the same thing. You've got all this stuff happening, and then all of a sudden, you have that nice pause. Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think like it's for me, it's like putting in as much story as you can, but like you always, after a while, you need that moment for like like when I the splash page where the Thundercats come in, I'm like, this is issue 1 of Thundercats. We need a splash page of the goddamn Thundercats. You got to have it. Like because I think maybe because I'm an artist, like I know what I'd like to draw. I don't know what it would feel cool, and I think that because I have that instinct, I try put in the script, and I hope that leads through to you. And I think it does. I mean, I know it does at this stage. I get the response.
You the great thing about it all is that like, since you don't, like, we have the time. Like, we, of course, at the time, we knew at least 12 issues, like, that was going to happen. But,
yeah.
I mean, how many times have you drawn something and the last, like, 6 pages is just crammed, like, with information? Like, you're like, wait a second, like, this is too much at the end. While you have this nice, like, flow, because you know that, like, at the time it was going to be 12 issues, so you didn't have to rush through, like, all this story in the third act of the book. Yeah. That happens so much, it's annoying. Then you have a 5 or 4 issue series. The first 2 issues are paced so well, and issue 3 and 4 are just so rushed. Because you're just trying to fit in.
You haven't read issue 4 yet, so you'll see. I mean, there's a lot, because I just finished it last night.
Oh, did you?
There's a lot in there, but there's also a lot of there's definitely a splash. There's an epic splash. There's a big reveal, and there's kind of a spread as well.
That's
and
awesome.
For me, that was because like this is the epic, not the epic, but this is like the big climax of the first arc. So you need to really, this is your Avengers Endgame type thing,
Yeah.
But there's so much character stuff at the same time. So I haven't got any notes back on it yet, but I think I got the right balance there, but it's tough. I'll be curious to see what you think.
Yeah, well, I think issue 2 is a nice respite. Like, there's a lot going on in issue 2, but I think there's only
I'm a little worried issue 2 won't be as bombastic enough for,
but
but
issue
I think
3 makes up for that. Like, I am so excited for issue 3 for people to see. I was telling my wife the story and walking through it, and she was like captivated.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was like what? I was like, oh, you want to hear the rest? And she's like, yes, tell me, like what's about to happen. And oh man, it's very good. When I read it, I was excited, and we said before, I actually messaged you with the 2 words.
Yeah,
and it was it's just so cool. And I really love that you give me the to do the action, because I really like doing choreographing fights. And you give me generally what you want, but the things that I've changed, you haven't said anything, like to the point where you're like, no, I don't like that. But I'm trying to follow what you did. But I like that you give me that freedom of just.
You're the one drawing it, man. Like, I mean, if there's something very specific, I think you can tell I'll ask for it. Like, I have very specific things in mind, but in other cases, I really don't mind, whatever you want to do. And I know you have a good sense. Like, I know, because I know you want to do action, that'll always remind me to make sure that the book just doesn't get too talky and, like now and then someone's got to punch somebody,
Yeah.
Because it's Thunder, like but that's the book. Like, it should be that. Thundercats shouldn't be them just, looking out at the sunset. Although there's a good few shots of them looking out at the sunset.
Yeah.
But someone's got to, a cat's got to kick another cat now and then.
Yeah.
But no, I'm pretty happy with that fourth issue now. So we'll see. Well, we'll see what you think.
I can't wait.
But anyway, issue 1, I just have some pages for it here. Like, so I'm so glad you're doing the washes. There's some lovely effects you have in there. And like, that's the way you have that first page is very much how I would have drawn it, it's nice when I feel like we're gelling that way. Like, not that you should be drawing how I would draw it, but I just I felt from the start, I'm like, no, he's got a good, like, similar visual sense. Not that we'd draw it the same way necessarily, but like that last shot is very much a shot that I would try draw, So I was just like, this is cool. I don't have to do all the hard work.
Yeah, that spread was fun. I think that was the first page that Nate asked for. He's like, we want a big shot of them all.
That's right, yeah.
So that was the first time I drew them all together with the spacesuits, which I really love.
Well, again, I think anytime you get to design something is fun, but I also kind of wanted to signify that this isn't just like, you don't see spacesuits in the original cartoon. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to signify that, like, it's not just going to be the cartoon. There's going to be some newer elements. And I kind of wanted that, like, Lost in Space vibe from the start. And then as we go through it, you start seeing the cool things like the costumes and this, that, and the other,
I gave him the midriff. That was for the 80s kids.
Yeah.
I did that because I remember when we first showed the designs, everyone was very positive. But there was a small group of people going, where's the midriff? There you go. There it is. You got it the one time,
Yeah. Cool. Lennox says March 13th can't come fast enough. Thanks, man. I mean, it can actually come a little bit later, just because Drew would survive better because he's so busy.
But
it is like now. I mean, now that the issue has been lettered and everything, like and stuff for the printer, I can't wait for it to. I think it's probably that'll be the first issue we've done since we're aware of how much excitement there is for the book. So
there's a lot of pressure on that second issue, I think. For me, I just think that, like, there's just so much, like, I just don't want things to drop off. Like, I feel like there's a responsibility there all of a sudden that wasn't quite there before. I'm not used to this kind of pressure.
Yeah, we were just doing a fun book first, and now all of a sudden it's a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. And then people are telling me about their lives, and I'm like, wow, people like are associating this with their own personal life. So I don't know. But to be fair, I think what pressure makes diamonds, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. And if we weren't worried, because that's what I find is, like, if you're not worried about it or you're not stressing about it, then you're not really giving it everything you have.
Yes.
If you're blasé about the whole thing, then you're really not really engaged with it. So, like, that kind of performance anxiety, I think, is good because it does sharpen you,
Yeah, every line I think about, I could fix that. Sometimes you let stuff go, you're like, but lately, especially issue 2, I was like, you know what, I'm going to redraw that part. It's good, but it could be better. I find myself saying that more and more, but it hasn't affected the deadlines. So I guess that's.
You were even saying to me one stage, like, "Oh man, I'm sorry if these last pages don't look good." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? They look great." Yeah. I was talking to Nate about there's a splash page in issue 2 that you left till last. I don't want to say what it is.
Yes, I did leave it for last.
Yeah, but Nate told me that he knew that when you handed it was going to be amazing, and he was right. It's the best page in the book. It looks fantastic.
I think.
Normally the last page would be really rushed looking, but that is not what happened. You did like the best page of the book.
Well, that's the thing. I felt like the last page I had. To me, splashes are easy. To just because if it's already like penciled and planned, the inking is just having fun. It's just one image.
Yeah.
Like when you do like a 7, or not even 7, because when they're smaller, they're not quite as hard. But I don't know, 4 or 5 panels. It's like each panel deserves the equal amount of attention most times. But that's why I saved the splash for last, because I knew we were on a super tight deadline. And if I saved it for last, that's where I could make time up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one came out really good. I was
It's
surprised
savage.
myself.
It's so good, man.
I like that. It was her face. There's like a way. Well, sorry. Well, there's
Yeah, we can. Don't want to say. Yeah.
No, don't want to say. But
even like I'm looking at a page here from issue 1 and the Tigra page.
My favorite one.
Which I wrote because I knew you wanted to draw Tigra, so I'm like, I'm going to give Drew a Tigra page here, just that he can really draw him.
Yeah.
And you did these lovely washes where his visibility kicks in, and I just knew we were gelling at this stage for sure.
Yeah, and that's when I first really pushed the grays and the washes, because
which is more time as well. It's like adding washes is pretty time intensive as well.
Yeah, because once you're done, you're not done.
Yeah. No, you're not doing what I do, which is a lot more rendering in places, but like you're selectively choosing. And so I don't mean that as in like you don't do all the work I do. I'm taking more liberties because I have more time, but you're using them in just the right place. Like, it would be, be indulgent. That's it. Actually, I have the liberty of getting indulgent about things. You will take the time needed to really give some moments to bump them up, like those shadows on Tigra, and it's you're going above and beyond on a book that is already like a lot.
Yeah, it's also that one shot of Tigra looking with I call them the hunter eyes, like that like blank stare that cats get when they're hunting something. And you even coined the cat's eye shadow. Yeah. So that Barry Windsor Smith, right? He has a art book called Opus. Totally inspired that disappearing effect on the third panel. Like it's easier to see, I guess, in black and white that you can still see parts of him shining through. But yeah, Barry Windsor Smith was. I had those books like sitting right over here. But yes, I love that guy's art. But yeah,
he's amazing.
I limit the washes because I want to set I still want to keep the whole cartoon thing going, and I feel like if I got too deep with the washes on the characters, not on the backgrounds, just the characters. To give it that cartoon aesthetic. I think there's on the second book, there's one page I actually did washes on the background, which I didn't have time to do, but I did it anyway. That's an awesome page. That was fun.
Yeah, there's the Thunder Cubs, as I call them, which is basically, this scene, we needed some humor, and this is a good, I think, I didn't write that. I think I did. I said, I didn't say how many panels specifically, but I did say, basically just have some fun here. Basically, they're just going to be rough and tumble, but I'm not sure how many panels is in the page, but I do try now and then just go like, you do what you want here.
Yeah, and I think somebody called it very panel-y in a negative way, but I still like it. I think it's
boo-hoo. One page is very panel. Oh, good.
It was just somebody was like, "Oh, this page is so panel-y," but you know what? Like they're quick. I mean, if you don't know comics and storytelling, if the panel is smaller, your eye takes less time on it. It's a quick movement. So that's what's happening.
Yeah, like if the whole book was like that, fair enough. But this is a very specific moment. It's two kids. Lennox here says Thunderbrats. There you go.
Oh,
they're being Thunderbrats in that page for sure. Also, Lennox says, he's Scott.
Yeah, Scott. I know Scott. He's an awesome dude. I met him through the Gargoyles fan base, but we've
Oh,
become
cool.
fast friends too. Um, yes, I drew a commission for him that has like 6 million flowers on it. Uh, it was
He
it
says
was
you draw amazing flowers. He
there
says
it
so. Yeah,
is.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. I drew a lot of flowers on this commission. It is uh it was something else. Let's just say it was tough.
So Tatiana, who she preps my pages for me, as
Yeah.
regards your last page, she says that Declan takes all the time to draw more foliage, which
Ah,
is true. I think I really, really, really punish her sometimes.
ah.
Um, like someone got Simpleton DC asked if I'm going to the States again, that I'm going to Third Eye in Annapolis, which is true. Myself and Drew are going to be at GalaxyCon in like a couple of weeks. Something
Yeah,
like that,
I
isn't
think it's like
Yeah.
I know exactly. It is going to be 17 days.
Okay. Yeah, I bet you do because you got it
Yeah,
every
my
page marked
deadline
down.
is in 14.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
But yes, we're both going to be at GalaxyCon together, which this is going to be so cool. Like, because I haven't had the public experience yet, so
yeah.
that's going to be cool to have it with you. But yeah, so we'll be at GalaxyCon Virginia in Richmond on the I don't know, my calendar here.
The 16th, 17th, or 15th, 16th?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 15th, 16th, 17th, and
Because
then
I'm very excited because the book will be done. And it'll give me like it's a weekend I don't like weekend like I'm free of the pressure of the next one because I think that issue I actually have I have 30 days.
okay, good.
So I'm bringing my tablet so I
So
can do this.
so many days that's like some huge amount of time.
It is for me, man. Like it is like that. 30 days is incredible. Like, oh man, I've worked for Dynamite a long time. Let's just
Well, what was it? So yeah, we'll be both be at Richmond. I'll be in Richmond for St. Patrick's Day. I wonder what that's going to be like. And then so then the following week I'm going to be at Third Eye Annapolis on the 20th, and then I will be at Brave New Worlds in Philadelphia on the 21st. And I'll also be at Midtown Comics in New York on the 22nd. So I'm trying to hit some places while I'm over. And I'll probably die immediately afterwards. I'm going to be so tired. But I don't get over a whole lot. So I figured since I was over, I'd try, hit some sort, especially with Thundercats, like I'm going to sign something like 1,500 copies out of Midtown. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
yeah, that's a lot.
But
I just did
poor
200
me.
and it was a lot.
Yeah. As Eugene Commodore is saying, reading the first issue definitely had a tone of the cartoon. Love what you two are doing, and are the Burbles making an appearance? Well, I don't know what to say. I'm no comment on who or who isn't showing up. It's a tough thing when you're doing something because like people are like, "Is this going to happen?" I'm like, I want you to read the book. If I tell you it's going to happen, it's going to ruin the book for you. So, I will say like things like the Burbles. The stuff will definitely come into the book, but for me, the most important thing is to really establish the characters. And the more stuff you throw in, then the less they get to really deal with each other. And especially for the first arc, I really wanted to establish like Lino's relationship with everybody else, how he is with like Chitara and Panthero, and how they are with each other. Like for example, in issue 3. There's some conflict between two of the Thundercats, and like that's you want to have more of those moments. But because the scope of the book is quite large, I think there'll be lots of stuff that you'll recognize from before that'll come in. Hopefully not the way you're expecting.
Yeah,
But it would be silly not to use lore from the Thundercats. But I'm trying to be sparing about it because I feel if you just throw everything in, it'll get very it'll get cheap,
I feel convoluted and a lot of watered down. I think we're very fortunate from what I've heard that we'll have a long time to work on this book, and that rarely happens. I mean, I'm not saying we are, but it's kind of like that Claremont Silvestri run on X-Men, or Claremont and Byrne. Like, they got to work on it forever. Not that we're going to work on it that long.
No, but this will probably be the longest running book. Well, actually, sorry, that's not fair. I did a book at Image that went 28 issues.
Wow.
But like, that was creator owned, so we made that happen ourselves. I haven't done a work for hire book like concurrently doing the whole book ever. I don't think with the scope that we have with this, like, because I talked to Nate last week, and we'd only talked about doing something between 12 and 15 issues, and that is not that limitation is not there anymore.
Yes.
So if people keep sticking with the book the way they have been, I think this feels like it could be like our own X-Men book, basically,
Yeah.
where we just get to do every issue and you're not rebooting it all the time or anything like that. We can just actually have a cool, flagship book. It'd be savage.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Plus, like I said, there's so many pitfalls with having a 5-issue series or 4-issue series. I hear this a lot. This could have been something more, but they don't know. Well, we didn't have the time for it to be something more. I wish you didn't wait for trade.
Well, look, a lot of the cases, that's just it. Is like a lot of people are like, I wish this book lasted longer. Like, it lasts as long as it could financially, just because you don't know if you're going to make your money back, or you're spending so much money up front and so much time. Like, you can work on a book for a year and have no idea how it's going to do, and then the book comes out and it doesn't work, and then you're like, well, I can't do it anymore. Like, it's not trying to be like it's so tough in comics. It's just there's just some limitations you got to work with. So I have up on the screen here the thunder moment, which I remember, like, again, those washes you have, all the kind of ink stain stuff. It's like, it just adds so much electricity to that moment, it's so good.
Yeah, it came out, man, better than I expected. It all is in my head anyway, but I've mentioned before, it's like I would have never thought to break it up the way you did, to really pace it out into two pages like that, which gave me the room to be, do the zoom in each panel and then hit that whole page,
Well, also, like, the whole page was going to be page turn, so that's it. It's 2 pages, but it's not 2 pages aside from each other. It's 2 pages. It's a page turn, and what's going to happen. I think that's the one thing comics can do, is like you can withhold the moment, and you can really, really kind of like build excitement that way. So I was like,
built the anticipation.
Like, you could argue that's very indulgent, and it is a little indulgent, but also this is why we're here. Thundercats fans are here. And also, if you don't really know what Thundercats are, you need to know that this is iconic.
Yeah, this is the moment.
If it all happened on one page or something, or was squeezed into a couple of panels and, in relation to something else, you wouldn't know that this is like a moment. So I'm so glad how that, there we go. Yeah, we got our hoe.
Oh, yeah.
I could just hear that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, the wash.
And then when we get to we get to the our fighting, and then the Thundercats show up, it's like dun 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 dun. Yeah. There should be musical cues for.
Well, and they're on the loose.
This comic.
I do. I try and draw Chitara's hair puffed out when she's running, because I feel like there's some electricity happening. So if you ever notice that she's using her power, her hair is like out there, like it's.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I probably would have straightened it, but it's like that's the obvious thing to do.
Yeah, I was originally going to put electricity on her, but I felt that was too much like the Flash.
I'm kind of writing her like the Flash, as in with her speed powers, just because It's badass.
I also feel like I didn't have the time to do it, and I didn't want to go back with the colorist and be like, "Can you do this for me?"
Also, to be fair, there's also the risk of that she gets too visual because, like, the others don't really have very visual powers. You know, like Tiger does have invisibility. Panther was strong, but like the rest, it's not like the only other one that's as visual is really Mumra with like with the lightning or whatnot.
Yeah.
So you don't want her too overpowered either. So I think you hit the right balance. And I'd say I love this battle because I think I'm not even sure I wrote that many panels in the battle, but you really just kind of condensed and jammed it in there. And, yeah, but this was I knew you. I think I actually said. I think I just said specifically what happens in a couple of them, but then you just did the rest, and it was really, really sung.
Yeah, I tried to add just small beats to fit the dialogue as well, like to give it like when they said something, Tiger said something, and I wanted a slight pause, and then the next thing happens because it's so the movement happens so quickly that it's like a pause, shoot, go, and he goes across, and then you see her face, and she goes that way. So it's like back and forth, trying to be kinetic, but also like to have a breath somewhere in there.
It works. It works great. Like, and then, it was really great. Those pages. I mean, you're so good at all the characters, and they're all. The tough thing is, like, Slight is such a bigger character than Lino, and drawing them on. I know what it's like to do a team book. It's tough, and you make it look easy.
Well, the gargoyles, man, I'd have to draw like 12, 13 gargoyles at a time, sometimes in one panel, one tiny panel, there'll be like 15 gargoyles. God, it's a lot. But
okay, understood. So I could just pack pages filled with characters. You don't mind? It's fine. Understood. I get you.
There's these two armies that fight, right?
Kevin McNamara. Hi, Kev. He says, "Congratulations on the book, guys. Really love it so far.
Thank you.
Great. That's all we want is your love." That it's really great. Like I can't believe the amount of excitement about this book. It's really insane.
That's my Rankin and Bass tribute right there at the bottom. Your
Slight is great. You draw like a really great monster face. Good.
And you made him such a featured character. Well, no one knows, but I'm just saying this Slight is a bungling idiot. Like, he's a threat, and I love it. I love it so much.
For me, Mumra is ultimately the big bad of the book, but like the more he's in it, then the less terrifying he's going to be. So I felt like we need to build up other villains and other characters. So for me, Slight is kind of like, I'd say he's kind of got a B story going through the book. Because, I think you can do more interesting stuff, and there's so much to do with the mutants. Like, so... Yeah, I just felt like there's more to explore there because Mumra is always going to be there. He's the big terrifying thing, but like there's all these other characters to use. So I actually really like writing him. He's really fun to write.
Yeah, I can tell. Like he just has so much character compared like the show. You've done so much with these characters in the 3 issues that I've read. And I've seen your outline. You showed me that, but reading the issues, like even Chitara and Panthro's character, the kitten cat, like Tigra, you've delved into the character more than the show ever did. I feel like I've watched a lot of episodes recently because, of course, we're doing the book, but like it's a very rinse and repeat show. Which is fine. We're children. We're watching it, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's of its time. It was as good as it could be at the time,
Yes, but you have delved into character, like how they're thinking, how they're feeling. It's definitely refreshing to me. So I get excited every time the script comes to me. This last one really got me.
That's what I want. Like, I've written it now. And I'm waiting to hear back from Nate, and I just want it in your hands so you can, like, when you texted me that thing from issue 3, I'm like, yes, yes, he likes it.
You got me juiced.
I'm gonna show a little bit of issue 2. Not the last. Yeah, so I had this idea from the very beginning for a dream sequence for Lionel. I know I really can't show it because the book's not out for a couple of weeks, and I don't want to get in trouble with Dynamite. But I thought we could at least show the first page and just show like how lovely, like just to show off how great your ink washes are. Like you're really putting. I mean, the colors and Arancia like are really gelling with your work. I really love like all the kind of like watercolory brushes they're using. It really works with your washes. The downside of that is I think people don't realize how good your washes are. The washes are lovely.
Yeah, they came out real well. The thing is, I'm doing them more and more. Like if you like, I'm just telling anybody listening, if you like the first issue with the way the mood and the washes work, the second issue has a lot more. I was actually shocked how much I got it in there. Like I could have not done it and just let the colorists do their thing. But Declan, like you inspired me to like push. Well, everything has inspired me to push myself harder. The sales of the books, your scripts are great. I mean, we talk, we message each other, I think every day.
Pretty much, yeah. You'll send me little snippets of panels and stuff, and it's just, well, it also reminds me I got to get my drawing done. Like, just getting so much done. I feel like I've done nothing. So you're just shaming me every day. But no, it's great. Like I worked with Andrea Braccardo on Alien, and he was similar. Like he'd send a page as he does them. I when I'm working on a book, I'll do like 10 and then send them on. But like you send on a page as it's done, and it does keep your enthusiasm up. And I didn't really think about that. To me, it was just like, I'll get it done and then hand it in. But I do like having the pages come in. As from a writing point of view, it keeps me kind of engaged and excited, and love it.
Yeah, and plus for me, it's the encouragement, like because every time you're like with the washes, you're like, those are great, and I was like, and so it makes me want to do more, makes me want to do better. And it's tough, like creating separation between panels with the washes, because you don't want them to bleed together. It's like one giant wash, like you have to tighten things and make some areas larger. So I really shouldn't be taking all this time to do this. But I got
I want to show one more page. Sorry, I took it off the screen so we can. Yeah, because again, it's not a story. There's no story spoilers here, but it's just a lovely. Like it's a character page with Wily Kit and Wily Cat, and I think I was just in the last panel. I was just thinking like a nice, kind of atmosphere landscape, but you've really, really sold it. And I don't know what it is, but seeing those two hoverboards just hover near them really, really makes the page for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, like especially the one in the fourth panel.
Yeah, the Wily Kit close up. There is such lovely cartooning in that panel, man. Like it's fantastic. Again, I keep expecting to see pages that are like rushed because I know how tough the deadline is, and you're just putting so much work in that you don't need to. And I mean, it makes me look good. I don't have to do anything.
That's what I'm here for.
I can tell you really are bringing your A game on this, and it's great to see. And I do think it bleeds into the book. I think the book has a kind of a charge to it for the enthusiasm you have for it. I think the reader's gonna get it too. I think to the paper and their eyeballs, they're gonna pick up on it. It's a weird thing to say, but I get it when I see the pages.
I wish they did the second printing like you suggested, with the director's cut with your script in there and the book in black and white.
Yeah, I said it to Dynamite. It would be really cool to do like a director's cut, which would show all of your washes and my script and stuff. But
I get
they
it.
said instead they're going to do a second printing of the book, which I think is probably going to do much better.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it will. But it was just,
Yeah.
it was just such a good idea, you know.
Lennox saying that it is amazing that Dynamite ordered a second printing of issue 1. I was pitching the idea of the director's cut thing because one, I love those type of things, but two, I'm like, well, people, if the book is doing that well, they'll be into it. But I mean, it's probably better for the book to do a second printing.
When they said that, and I think they explained the way that works with the second printing. I think Nate sent the thing, and I was like, oh well, there's always smarter people in the world who do things better. So, but the suggestion was wonderful.
Z42 is saying, we've been getting action figure cover to match the character design cover, but on issue 2 we have 2 character design covers. Will there be an action figure for Calica? You'd know that more than I would.
Is in the second issue, is the toy cover is Tigra.
Yeah, but there is like Z has a fair point, like a fair question, because I did. Is there? There's a design. Yeah, there's a design cover for Who's your design cover for issue 2?
Issue 2, it's Tigra and Calica. They did.
Yeah, so there's 2 of them. Yeah, but he's asking, are there 2 action figure covers? But you haven't done a Calico one, have you?
No, they don't want. I was told not to do toy covers that are my design, or they have to be the actual 80s toys, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right. They're the 80s ones. Okay, yeah.
I wanted to do the Lion-O. I thought it'd be neat to do a toy Lion-O, but with the new design. Like, that'd be kind of neat, right? But I don't know who makes it.
I imagine there's probably some licensing thing there. It's where people are like, why don't they do this? And like, I'd agree, because sometimes I'm like, this would be cool. And then you find out like there's just basically a very boring like legal reason.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. So probably no toy Calico cover unless, like you said, I think there's a legal thing that we can't do that.
If maybe they made the toy, then you'd be allowed.
Yeah. Well, that's what would be neat. Like, to me, if they do toys of our Thundercats, like.
Somebody said that to me when we started, and I'm like, that's never going to happen, but it could.
It could.
Like I've seen they've done like turtles for the toys for the turtles from the comics and stuff like that. Like you and me are just making a book. So you don't really think about that. We're just trying to do something cool and interesting and visual and new. You never know.
We don't have time to think of that.
We don't.
Yeah, but
I'd say I'm going to wrap this up in the next few minutes. So if anybody else has any questions, because we're nearly hitting 2 hours, and I need to eat. I'm sure Drew has children to look after. But if anybody has any questions, go for it. But so to wrap up, like, we're coming to. Lennox says Calica is an amazing new character, and being a new female is great. There's a reasons female. I think Calica opens up new story possibilities, especially with Lino, that I don't think we could have done otherwise. So that's why she exists, really, was so that we could go different places, and kind of have some surprises along the way. Is there anything you'd like to see in the book that I haven't put in yet for you, like, or
man, you did. I asked for the sword play.
But I'm asking live now, so people will now know things that you want to draw, and if they see it later, they'll know it's because we had this conversation.
It'd be interesting. I mean, not that it's going to happen, but I love that you did this. I asked you, I was like, man, I really want some sword play in there, and you did. Like, you've come up aces on that. And then even the monster I wanted to do, you put him in there. It'd be crazy. I don't know if it ever fits into the story, but that Cave of Time, when they go in and it ages them, just to see an old wrinkly Thundercat, I don't know, wrinkles are fun to draw.
They are. I mean, I'd literally do a book called Old Dogs so that I could draw an old man.
Yeah, they're great. which I have to pick up. Are you going to have copies of that in Richmond?
Yeah, I'd say there'll be some there. Yeah.
I got to pick one up. I've got to pick one up.
Yeah, you do. God damn it. You got your bloody Blighter book, for God's sake. What was this? Yeah, not to give away any spoilers, but there's definitely time. Time is going to play into the book in the future for sure.
Yeah.
There'll be a temporal element brought in, so you may get to see. I can't say exactly, but that's entirely possible because that's stuff I want to get into later. Just have to kind of get some of the characters first, but there's a thing in issue 3 that opens the door for more timey stuff, basically.
Yes, and more also the vehicles is another thing I like to do. But you've already issued. Well, there's that stuff's happening too. So, so vehicle stuff is fun. So I don't know, like we kind of gelled, and like you said, every time I think of something, you've kind of already done it, or you have plans to do it.
Thinking ahead of you. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, cool.
Lennox is saying needs some I can never get her name right. Pumara.
Yeah.
In future. You never know. As like if the book keeps going, there's so much to that can be brought in, you know. Was it Richard Butler's saying, guys, on the idea of a director's cut, it would be a great idea to organize the early sketches, unused panels, etc., for some collection down the line. To be fair, everything you just showed is all that really have. I mean, again, like there was only so much design you could do ahead of time because we were kind of rolling, but also that's really out of our hands. We don't really have any control over that's down to the publisher, you know. I will see. You never know.
Yeah, I was reading that one. Thank you. Yeah.
Richard's asking, when will we see the LJN Panthro cover? I don't know what that means.
What is LJN? I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. LJ. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, Richard. I'm not sure what that means. Gary's saying that they did toys of the Turtle Power Rangers after they showed up in the comics. There you go.
Hey, you know, like I said, I would buy them all because unlike what you think, we don't give free stuff a lot.
A lot. At all. I have all these Moon Knight figures over here that I did not get sent for free. I had to buy them myself.
I even did design for Hasbro for toy box art. I didn't get any of those either, so I have to go buy them.
The least you could do is just get a toy. Like it's not to anyway. Yeah. Z42 saying thank you both for bringing the Thundercats back to life and for being so amazing at it. Thank you so much, Z42. I feel like these compliments aren't deserved because there's only one issue so far, but hopefully, you know, hopefully we'll keep.
I think issue 2 is amazing, but I'm biased.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I also think we're amazing. But I think I'll probably wrap it up here. It's nearly 2 hours. I always mean these to be 1 hour, and then they're pretty much nearly 2. But thanks for coming on, man. Like, it was really fun to actually. This is the only one-on-one conversation we actually have.
It's always messaging. We've been messaging since October, I think, right? November, October.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
it's only February now. Like. Yeah, it feels like we've been through the mines, you know,
it does.
In a very short space of time.
We definitely went to war together.
But yeah, the Thunderian Wars. But all right, sure. Look, I'll be seeing you soon anyway, and and I'll probably have to email you tomorrow about something or other. So thanks for coming on. And thanks for everybody for the comments. It's great. I never know how to end these. I need to come up with a script to end these, but thanks a million for everybody. If you would care to like and subscribe, this will be out as a proper podcast next week. we do the live streams, I do the live streams so that we could get this kind of live feedback. So we're going to edit this for a podcast for next week. So when that comes out, if you would care to like and subscribe and all that jazz. And yeah, thanks a million. And I'll catch you in another couple of weeks. See ya.
Bye.